All right. Hey guys, so this one is the movie systems solving using substitution. There are several methods to solve systems. We did one by graphing. I'm going to do the other one by graphing, but this one in particular is the substitution one. So let's take a look at what they've got. It looks like they're going to give you a little intro, reminding you that you could find it by graphing by getting their intersecting point. Let's continue. These are tips on how to substitute one at a time, one step at a time. You start here with a system, and then what you do first is wherever you see this 2x, you see how it's supposed to equal y? Well, there's a y right here. So you could replace the y with the 2x since they actually are the same exact thing. It's kind of like just exchanging one item for another. They're the same thing, right? All right, so once you do that though, you end up being able to simplify because now you notice there's only an x and an x, there's not this x and y. And when you simplify, you get 3x plus 4x, which would be 7x, which equals 14. What number times 7 is 14? It's 2. Well, once you know what one of them is, you can go back into the equation and you can put the 2 here. And if you do that, 3 times 2 is 6, 14 minus 6 is 8, and then 8 divided by 2 is 4. So y has to be 4. Now, I'm going to show you this in detail when we have the problems, but I'm just showing you what I'm trying to help you make sense of what they have here. They're just asking you to type what the answer is that they found. I don't know what the point of that is. Maybe just to make sure that you understood what you looked at. I don't know. I'm guessing. Now for this one, it says to drag the missing part to find the solution, which means they want to see if you understand step by step how to solve. So if I have this first equation on this side, and I have this one on this side, well, this one right here, since this used to be a y, I would put the 5x there instead. And it wants me to drag it. I was trying to type it. But that's how we would start. We're going to start here, work our way down, and then we're going to come up here. Because this is not really separate. It's more like what comes after. Now, -2 times 5 is a -10, so they did that for you. They even simplified 6 minus 10 is a -4. But what does x equal now? Well, if you divide -4 by -4, you get 1 over here, which is 1x, but what's 4 divided by -4? It's actually a -1, so we would put that there. Now that you know what x is, you could take it and you can plug it into this equation so that we could find out what y is. So let's put that there. And then what's 5 times -1? Well, that would be a -5. So what is the actual solution for the system? Remember that it's the intersecting point, which would be -1, comma, -5, according to the algebra that was done right here. Okay, now this is just a recap, so keep going. It says to drag up the missing parts again, so it's the same thing that we just did. So since there's a y here, and y is supposed to be the same thing as 2x, I'm going to put the 2x here instead now. No more y, just 2x. Come down here. What is 10 divided by 10? It is a +1. Now that I know that x is 1, instead of putting the x here, I'm going to put the 1 there. What is a 2 times 1? It is 2. What is the solution to your system? X must be 1. Y must be 2. That's the point where they intersect. Therefore, it's the solution to the system. Okay, that's just the recap. We're going to drag again. Hey, am I actually working on the stars? Okay, I didn't think so. Since there's no stars down here, this is actually teaching. This is actually you practicing, kind of like guided practice, you know, I do, you do, we do kind of thing. And then we're going to have our 5 stars to do, where instead of doing this click and drag, you're going to have to solve them on your own. But I'm going to go through that with you because it seems like a lot of you are getting stuck. Okay. Instead of putting the y here, we're going to put what y equals. Y equals at ax. So let's put the ax there. Oh, I didn't put it in the box correctly. Okay. What is 19 divided by 19? It is 1. If you don't understand how they are simplifying the equation or solving, I will be doing that with you when it's time for the stars. But right now, we just have to click and drag. Okay, now that we know that x is 1, and I guess we could just put that there real quick. Instead of keeping the x in the equation now, we could just put the 1. What is it, 8 times 1? Well, 8 times 1 is 8, which means y has to be 8 for our intersecting point as well. And that should be it. That should take us to our stars. And now this is the hard part. This is where they're going to want you to actually do everything that they just helped guide you through. So I'm going to start by writing this on the board, and then I'll show you the steps. So 2x plus 5y equals 17, and y equals 3x. And that's a system. Okay, folks, let's stop presenting. Move closer to the screen. Okay. So this is the part that matters, right? This is the part that is the same as y. So wherever there's a y, I could just exchange them. I could swap them out, and I'm not doing anything wrong. And now you have to simplify. There's nothing to simplify that to. But for here, I could do 5 times 3. What's 5 times 3? Now I have to combine like terms. These both have x's with them, so 15 plus 2 is 17. If you divide both sides by 17, you get 1x equals 1. So far, my intersecting point is 1 comma something. Now, remember, this tells me what y would be if I knew what x is. Well, guess what? We know what x is now. 3 times 1 is simply 3. So your intersecting point should be 1 comma 3. Let's go back to presenting. And let's put in 1 comma 3. And boom. Okay, very nice. Okay, now we have 4 more to go. But they are all solved the same way, using substitution. So if you think you get it, by all means, you don't have to keep watching. I'm going to run through the whole thing, though, and they will scramble the problems. So if you don't have the exact same problem, please don't get paranoid. It's possible you'll see one that I did before. It's possible not, that you'll get 5 brand new ones. That's okay as long as you can understand the steps. Okay, let's bring you back. Stop sharing. Okay. All right. Same steps. I know that y equals 4x, so I'm going to replace it, right? I'm going to swap them out. So that stays the same. Replace it. And now simplify. Remember that this is multiplication. Anytime the number or letter is right next to it, it's multiplication. 5 times 4 is 20, and there's only 1 x there, so don't worry about it. That's a whole other ballgame that you'll get to in algebra if you have to do x by x. Okay, 20 and 3 is simply 23x. And this has been working out like this, which I guess is kind of nice if this is new to you because you don't remember it. Repetition is actually very important when you're learning something. Okay. Now let's find the other one, right? We know that y has to be 4 times whatever x is. We know that x is 1, so y equals 4. Okay, let's put this in as our intersecting point, 1, 4. Present now. 1, 4. Oh, is it presenting? It's not presenting, sorry. Okay, now it is. I put it in 1, 4, and I'm going to click next so I can get my next problem. And so I can get that nice encouraging check mark. All right, give me a minute. There's a lot of, what would you call that, marker dust on the board, so I'm just going to wipe it down. Okay, and now we have a negative x minus 2y is equal to 0. And then the other equation is that y equals a negative 8x. That's the system that we're looking at. All right, let's do it. Stop sharing. So now you can see the screen. Okay, let's replace it. Multiply a negative 2 by a negative 8. That's a positive 16. X, of course. 16 minus 1 is actually 15. Anything times 0 is 0, so actually x is just 0. Let's start our point. Okay, negative 8 times 0 is just going to be 0. So let's see if that's right. I have a bad feeling about it, but I'm pretty sure we did everything correctly. Let's see if the origin is really their intersecting point. 0, 0 is the origin. But you remember that, right? Right. All right, if it doesn't work, it's okay. We're just going to look for our mistake, but this is what we got. So, hey, what do you know? Oh, oops, I was too quick there. Okay, solve the system by substitution. Now, this is actually the same thing, but they put the one that they typically put at the bottom, they put on the top. All right, don't let that throw you off. It's still the same procedure. Okay, y equals a 5x. I mean, if it bothers you, you could always rewrite them, and you can always put y equals 5x at the bottom. That's not an issue. 7x plus 2y equals a negative 17. Okay, I'm ready. Let's present, well, not present, but we'll stop sharing that. This is what I know y to be. So where I see the y, I will leave those alone, but I will change this. 2 times y, not anymore. Now it's 2 times 5x. 2 times 5 is 10. Combine those and you get a negative 17, I'm sorry, positive 17x. I was looking over here while I was reading that. If you divide both sides by 17, you get x equals negative 1. So let's do the other part. If y equals 5 times whatever x is, then I just have to plug in my negative 1. A 5 times a negative 1 is a negative 5. Okay, let's put in negative 1, comma, negative 5. Negative 1, negative 5. Okay, we are on our last one for this lesson. Not that bad, right? The substitution can get kind of ugly and messy. You know, they're being nice to you by already having the variable solved for. Sometimes, you know, you're going to be forced to use substitution because they tell you to, even though it's in slope-intercept form and there's all kinds of coefficients in the way. And I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just letting you know that, you know, this is making it very nice and clean for you. Y equals a negative 5x. And then there's a negative 2x plus y. Nope, that's a minus y. I'll just put a negative in there instead of erasing. Equals 0. Okay. I know my squiggly lines don't look like brackets. It's not important. Stop presenting. We are going to be looking for the point. Okay. So y equals this negative 5x. Now be careful because this one doesn't go away just because we substitute. I'll put the minus here now instead of the negative. And it's supposed to be a negative 5x that I'm putting in, remember? Okay. What is the opposite of a negative 5? Well, it's a positive 5. The other way that you could look at it is negative 1 times negative 1, or negative 1 times negative 5, rather. A negative 2 and a 5 combined is basically the same thing as 5 minus 2, which is 3x. Now, we ran into this before. Anything times 0 is 0. So x here has to be 0. But then if I go back and I plug it in, that's going to be 0 too. So it looks like our origin is actually the intersecting point again. Let's actually see if that's true or not. I get suspicious about that because that's not your typical intersecting point. But it is correct, and that's it. So that one again was solving systems of equations using substitution. If you still have questions, please let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to get going on part 1 here in case there's anybody who still needs it. Okay? All right, guys. Good luck.